So I wanted to discuss some of the things that were on several content creators' shows yesterday regarding Dylan and Kaylee's T-Mobile accounts being searched as far back as June 23rd, and this notion that it was only their phones being searched looking for proof of the crime back in the summer. So let's take a listen.
The reason that I wanted to look at this is because it says here, Lawrence Mowry, having given me proof upon oath this day showing probable cause establishing grounds for issuing a search warrant and probable cause to believe property consists of certain evidence of the crime of homicide and burglary occurring at 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, on or about November 13th, 2022, to wit, user account information, location data, and stored communications held by T-Mobile. He's asking for the time period of June 23rd, 2022 to August 1st. Okay? He's saying certain evidence of the crimes of homicide and burglary are going to be on these phones. That's what he believes. And now when you look and see who the numbers are for, it is for Kaylee and it's for Dylan. And it's only for the time period of June 23rd to August 1st, prior to Kaylee moving in. So you're I just want everybody to understand that the police in this warrant are saying, this is the police, by the way. This isn't me. This is Lawrence Mowry, 23rd and August 1st, that I believe that evidence of the crime is going to be in their phones on these dates. So he's not saying that he believes evidence of the crime is going to be in their phones in November. He's saying he thinks that evidence of the crime is going to be in their phones for the summer, which is very interesting because then that would lead one to believe that he's getting this warrant after Brian's arrest for Dylan and Kaylee's phones, telling the court he needs this warrant for their phones because he believes that evidence of the crime is going to be in their phones from June to August, but he's getting it in March.
Okay, so let's discuss that. And just for reference, here are the last four digits of all of their phone numbers and the companies that their cell phones were with. So Ethan, Bethany, and Maddie were with Verizon, Kaylee and Dylan were with T-Mobile, and Xana was with AT&T. So I am going to show you that they did these warrants for not just Kaylee and Dylan's phones. They pulled warrants first from August 1st through a few days after the crime. And then after Kohberger was arrested, they did warrants going back to June 23rd. And it had nothing to do with when any of them moved into the house. It had to do with when Kohberger took out his cell phone, which was June 23rd of 2022. So let's get started. Okay, this is the first T-Mobile warrant, and this was taken out in November. It was served in November, and it was for presumably Dylan and Kaylee's phones because they were the two that had T-Mobile, even though it doesn't list numbers there, and it went back to August 1st. Now, this was the first Verizon warrant taken out, and it was also served in November, and this is believed to be for Ethan, Bethany, and Maddie's phones, and it also went back to August 1st of 2022 for the look back. Now, this is the second T-Mobile warrant. This was the one that Miss Potts was referring to, and that was served back in March of 2023, and it was for Dylan's and Kaylee's phone numbers, as we can see here. Now, this was for the second Verizon warrant, and this was served in April of 2023. And it was only served for Ethan and Bethany's numbers. I did not see Maddie's on here. Now, if somebody can find where they did serve another one for Maddie's, let me know. But this went back to that June 23rd, 2022 date. Susanna had AT&T, and this is possibly for hers. We don't know because they didn't attach the actual document to this that showed that. So I'm assuming this was the first warrant for AT&T for Xana's number. And this was the second AT&T warrant that was served back in March, and it shows it also went back to June 23rd. There's 2 numbers listed on there, so I'm pretty sure one of them was Xana's, but we don't know who the other ones was. So you can see that they were searching their phones initially from August until a few days after the murders, and then clear back to June 23rd, 2022. And that's because that's when Kohberger's phone was taken out. He took out that brand new phone number when he moved to Washington on June 23rd, 2022. And we know this because it's talked about in the court documents. And here's where it states the account has been open since June 23rd of 2022. So what they were doing was a full investigation. It's funny when Anne keeps saying they didn't do an actual investigation, because this shows they did. They were going clear back to when Kohberger opened his phone to see if there was any communication at all between the survivors and the victims and Kohberger. So they were trying to establish clear back to when he took out that new phone number. That's the June 23rd date, and it wasn't just Dylan and Bethany's. And I think people, or not Dylan and Bethany's, but Dylan and Kaylee's. And people are getting into the weeds with the wording, okay? That is the same wording that appears on every single one of the warrants. They are looking to see if there's evidence related to the burglary and homicides that took place on November 13th, 2022. Doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be evidence of the homicides on their devices, or that there was even evidence of the homicides planning during the summer. They build the investigation even after the suspect is arrested. Now, connection is never needed to get a conviction, but it's nice to have. So what they were doing was continuing to investigate to see if there was a connection between the victims, survivors, and Kohberger. They wouldn't be doing their due diligence if they didn't continue to search for a connection. But just like motive, you don't need to have one to get a conviction, so you don't need connection to get a conviction. But it's helpful. So they were trying to build on the case. It had nothing to do with when anybody moved into the house either. And Kaylee, by the way, moved in July, not August. And Kohberger moved in June, not July, because I noticed that people were citing that wrong during Miss Potts' live yesterday. And then I want to address also, she had a guest on there that claimed that Dylan's father was a criminal. That is false. Dylan's father is not a criminal, has not been in jail, does not have an Idaho arrest record. I don't understand why people continue to say that. It's possible they're mixing up her boyfriend's father, who was in jail for domestic violence, but Dylan's father is not a criminal. So I just wanted to clear that up. But these phone warrants are all part of normal investigation tactics. And it's nothing hanky. And it wasn't just Kaylee and Dylan's phones. They pulled all of them and did 2 sets of warrants on their phones. So just wanted to clear that up. I hope that helps people understand things a little better. And as usual, if there's something you want me to discuss, let me know.